of any kind of bottom lane centric plan that you want to craft for your team, you need a triangle in this game. You can't just have the one lane pushing. If you are missing the mid lane piece, then it makes it very difficult to actually chain those dragons. And Jayce right now, very good in the mid lane. They've made some small changes over a few patches where they took some of the early damage out of Shock Blast and they put it into the later levels. So he takes a little bit longer to be as oppressive, but still should be able to have that effect versus the Orianna. And even after the second half of the pick bans here, I still think Golden Guardians, I like what they're trying to do versus Team Liquid, and it's going to be about execution a lot on that bottom half of the map. I will also say about your Braum point, always a great pick into Ornn, because you can nullify an ultimate with a basic ability. Anytime you get to use a basic ability to break an ultimate of another champion, that's good interaction.
Braum and Yasuo, the two nightmare champions for the Ornn players, always having to wait to sound that horn before they can wreak teamfight destruction upon their opponents. But here we go, loading into the game now. Let's see exactly how they're going to play it out. And you know the one thing that I'm also looking forward to a lot in this one, Kobe? We got to see some top-tier BM yesterday from both of these teams. We got to see Golden Guardians BMing Dig, specifically Damonte with his ha 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 tweets after flashing the Dignitas emojis.
Well
and we got to see Team Liquid flashing those TSM emotes as well. I want to see who's staying on top of it this time around, as Tactical's going to take a lot of damage here at level 1. CoreJJ is nearby to make sure that he's able to escape without having to blow any summoner spells.
We get a new preview of the latest Aphelios skin, Pincushion Aphelios, with multiple Kalista spears and the Nidalee spear in his back at 1 minute into the game. Is plenty of time to recall, so Tactical is able to walk it out, and there's going to be no lasting damage, no scars from those spears.
Cool party Aphelios, but he's just a beach ball that has a bunch of needles popped into it.
Fair enough, fair enough. I like it. Honestly, the early stages are where you want to take advantage of Aphelios. He still scales extremely well, so you know that being maybe a preview is probably a good thing for Golden Guardians. In Champ Select, we were trying to preview. Okay, they want to play this bottom triangle of the map. Nidalee, super quick clearing, aggressive junglers can get down to add pressure, and they've got plenty of crowd control in that half of the map to work off of. And then you obviously are going to be able to change some objectives there. But Team Liquid's response should be one of vision defense. And I think something that Broxah did really well in their opening game was actually controlling bottom half.
We're going to see both those junglers starting on this top side. We'll see how they want to clear through the jungle and what they want to prioritize. We know that Trundle is exceptionally good at hitting level 3 with buff Gromp, but he is going to stop off, clear that entire top half of his jungle, clearing the wolf camp here now. You saw that Closer got a leash. Hauntzer made sure that he got him off to that better start. Impact wasn't as concerned. Broxah, Trundle, he can take care of himself there in the jungle. Impact also knows that he just wanted to get priority over that lane nice and early, make sure that he's getting those advantages over the Ornn with this Mordekaiser early on. And this mid lane matchup I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch, because you already talked about the importance of the Jayce getting ahead. But will he be able to get ahead if Broxah shows up and makes the plays right here? Pillar comes down. Damonte is able to play around it very well. The pillar slow doesn't really do a whole lot of anything. When Phase Rush gets procced, Damonte immediately dropping that exhaust and playing around that properly. As Closer's going to hang around here, he's waiting for Broxah, finds the spear. He follows that one up for some damage. There we go. Nice combo coming out from Closer. Forces the flash away from the Team Liquid jungler.
Yo, love to see everything we talk about in Champ Select comes true here. The phase rush on Jayce for Damonte means he can ignore the slow of the Trundle pillar. He even ran a circle around the Trundle pillar just to illustrate how futile it is to gank him with that. I would say, you know, it's a bit of a panic exhaust maybe. There's not a lot of burst damage that comes out of the Trundle, but you know, he did throw his summoner spell there to save some health. Then we also get to see the Nidalee, then with Vision of Trundle, gets to take advantage of the extra range and does push Broxah out of his own jungle, forcing the flash there. So flash for an exhaust in the end after you count all the summoners, and trying to return to the bottom side where they do have the CC set up. And you don't have to stay around very long as Nidalee. You get to do a lot of kind of high value, just very quick show up and throw the spear kind of presence ganks for yourself. Broxah, meanwhile, has to take advantage of the other half of the map because there's nothing he can do on the bottom side. He just got chased out by Closer and forced to splash.
Well, fortunately for him, that top side that he did full clear earlier is now respawning, so he will be able to do another pass on both his Braum and Wolfcamp, add a little bit more gold to his pocket. The bottom side, it's a 3v2. Closer showing up here yet again. Hook will not find the mark, but plenty of damage does. Tactical and CoreJJ both at half HP, still stuck underneath this turret.
I like the repeat pass here. Goes, does Grug, come back to throw another spear. I would say, small caveat, I would wait for the play to land, then throw the spear. Threw it a little early there, and huhi was actually in a really good position, got the double play. They do use the ignite, don't get anything out of it there.
Back up here in the top side, Impact and Hauntzer. I mean, this is, I feel like Mordekaiser versus a lot of melee champions looks really similar to what we're seeing up here in the top side. Mordekaiser farms up, you sit underneath your turret, and you go, boy, I hope if my jungler ganks him that he doesn't die in the death realm. It's a pretty difficult lane matchup for a lot of champs, but Hauntzer will be fine, just scaling up, getting towards that Abyssal Mask. You can see the items in inventory already working towards the Catalyst, and then once he has some of that MR, things will be a lot more easily manageable for him in that situation. huhi coming back into the bottom lane after roaming around a little bit, sitting down some vision in the bottom side river. But that does give a chance over to Tactical and CoreJJ to finally get this shoved back out, get back to base, and you can see that even though they weren't having the greatest time underneath that turret from that damage and those ganks of Closer, Tactical was still able to farm up enough money, get the BF sword, come back to lane on that power spike.
Exactly. Your 5.5 minutes recall for the BF sword is your mark that you want to hit. Even with Nidalee passing by, spears coming through, even with Kalista Thresh pushing on them early on, like you're saying, he's still able to get the last hits early, which is what your main goal is on the Aphelios early on, so you can scale up a bit later. Mid lane.
Nice shockwave from Jensen, but Damonte is clearly unafraid. Taking low HP, but knows that Jensen doesn't have the necessary damage to finish him off, so just returns a bit of his own and goes right back to farming. I like to see that kind of confidence, too. It shows you that Damonte is very well aware of the matchup. I think that's one reason why NA Jayce became such a meme. It's just so many players in North America seem to not do what needs to be done on the champion, so Damonte at least understanding exactly where he stands in terms of his champion's power compared to his
teleport advantage for Team Liquid here.
Let's see if Team Liquid are able to move in and stop this. Damonte, half HP, no mana, having to get himself away. Phase Rush makes sure of it. With a TP coming in from Impact, that means they will secure this Drake free of charge. Hauntzer had already used his TP to go back to lane a minute ago. And that means this cannot be an even fight. Good call there from TL to take that Drake.
Flowers. We spend the whole first, more than even 7 minutes, even in Champ Select, already talking about, all right, Golden Guardians, craft this game plan around their bottom triangles and control these dragons, work off this CC setup and the Nidalee jungle over Trundle, and yet they miss one of the checks on the list of dragon control, and that is teleport difference on the top side of the map. Like I said, Hauntzer using it to get back to lane. Golden Guardians start up the dragon without the extra resources. They're outnumbered down there, and although Impact does sacrifice a little bit, it wasn't even that much because he had just pushed the previous wave, and they're able to extend that teleport to make sure that one of the Golden Guardians' main plans, maybe he's planning
nice hook coming out there from huhi, or is it? He ends up setting himself up for disaster, and Tactical and CoreJJ just slam that huhi.
All right, Aphelios with the chakrams. What do we say? No, that's the one you gotta be really scared about. The white gun. Top side, Hauntzer's going down.
Hauntzer very, very close to getting solo killed here. Has to flash away to survive. Impact showing exactly what Mordekaiser is able to do in these situations. Gets that summoner spell out of his opponent. We'll see if that facilitates any opportunity for Broxah to make a trip up here. But right now, it's Closer who's also hanging out in this part of the jungle. One more look at the huhi hook that sealed his fate.
All right, the chakram spinning around Aphelios. You can see them right now. Heal is used. CoreJJ both puts up the Unbreakable and exhaust FBI, so no damage can come through from the Golden Guardians on the engage, and yet Tactical is there with the perfect close range gun on Aphelios. Just annihilates huhi, and it feels like the best laid plans for Golden Guardians, setting up, like the draft with the direction coming into the game, but the executions thus far has been one of miscalculation. I think not respecting the tools that their opponents have available to them has really been costing the Golden Guardians thus far. First, it was the teleport on top side. Then it is the Aphelios with the spinning chakrams around him and exhaust available for CoreJJ, meaning that there was no hope of that all in really working.
Well, the nice part for Golden Guardians is even though the Drake went the way of Team Liquid and the only kill in the game is also Team Liquid's, it's not like Golden Guardians are super far behind in terms of the overall economy of the game. They're 250 gold behind TL at this point. That's really not any sort of a big deal. If this team can make something happen with a really nice engage off of huhi or Hauntzer, I think they still have a ton of team fight potential and they can really make something happen in this mid game. Once Damonte's Jayce gets that first big lethality item online and we can really see him start to shine. He is starting to fall a little bit behind in terms of farm though. About 15 behind now as Jensen took the opportunity to go back to base, returning to lane now, has the Seeker's arm guard. For those of you who don't know, this item is absolutely crazy powerful with your laning against a lethality building champion. Once you get the stacks on Seeker's arm guard, I believe it's somewhere around 150% cost efficient. It is just, if you're not buying it, you're trolling. And it just makes it so much more difficult for Damonte to do what he wants to do, poke Jensen out of this lane, do lasting damage, and have good.
So you're saying gold star to Jensen, eh? Right now?
Gold star to Jensen, sir, as he manages to escape the gank from Closer, drops the shockwave to make sure his opponents aren't able to make anything really happen there. It was exhaust expended by Damonte in that fight, and Jensen walks away unscathed.
Yeah, but even with the exhaust time, you can see in the world of phase rush everywhere for also phase rush on Jensen on that side, proccing that one means a lot of these mid laners have been able to walk out of most of the ganks. Team Liquid making a pass through the Dragon themselves, and what originally was going to be a Golden Guardians focal point here has started to turn into a Team Liquid plan, since they've been able to make several consecutive good plays on the bottom half of the map, now playing huhi.
3v3, they go after the enemy support, but that's the problem with Kalista, Thresh. They're both able to save each other so easily. But now huhi must be aware that get out of jail free card is no longer available. huhi taken below half HP, tactical the same, CoreJJ almost down. Damonte coming in to the skies. The damage rains true, but CoreJJ is going to be forced to flash away. Broxah barely holding on, but Closer grabs the kill. It's a 1-for-1. Tactical guns him down. Nobody's going to take this any further for now. huhi's still hanging around in the bush, seeing if maybe there's an opportunity to go for a hook here, but it doesn't look like it. Everybody's going to disengage this one as the Dragon is about to spawn.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to throw another Shock Blast there to try and interrupt these recalls, but it looks like Damonte's going back to push the mid wave first to try and get that 30-second timing. And after the reset, we'll check in on what they were able to accomplish. Tactical here, though, starts out the replay by dodging both skill shots. That gives him the confidence, try and go in on huhi. And it's an ult trade for an extra ult there, as CoreJJ does use the Braum ult to get the Kalista ult and the Thresh ult down. But since Damonte comes down the river and the hook here does land from huhi in onto CoreJJ, they get a really big chunk, and Team Liquid has to go into evasive maneuvers. Then Closer decides, I can burst him and flash out. It is very close. Gets to find a little ticket damage there from Red Smite, so he at least does get his kill, but he burns his flash going for the extra 1-for-1 right there. That being said, again, Nidalee. Closer has been power farming, does have his fully completed jungle item and extra AP. Here we go.
All right, let's see how this explodes. Rift Herald available as an option. Let's see here. Drake taken down, nearly killed off there, and it is secured by the Golden Guardians. The power of Closer's Nidalee. He does have level advantage in these sort of smite fights. He's so much stronger than his opponent in Broxah. 59 CS compared to 100. Fully completed item. Tactical in danger. Now going to be jumped on. The wrath of the Golden Guardians will slam Team Liquid's bottom lane right down into the dirt. A double kill for Damonte. And Broxah is forced to retreat. The Ornn Horn's not going to accomplish a lot, but that Rift Herald has been summoned up down here now, ready to charge, ready to get some plate money. There's still 20 seconds left, Kobe. Critically, this is just in time for all that extra gold into the Golden Guardians' pockets. They won't be able to get the entirety of the turret, but they will walk away with a pretty big win here.
You said it, Flowers. Just in time. The Golden Guardians get the game plan back on track. They find their success we've been looking for in the bottom lane. They're able to first secure the dragon with Nidalee. Huge farm lead gained by power farming from this champion, of course, and closer with the extra level leads. Turns into utilizing the crowd control from the Kalista Thresh lane to then pick up a kill afterwards and get that big juicy passion. So even though the first couple attempts were misses from the Golden Guardians because they failed to calculate a couple of the things, teleport and Aphelios, they still are able to get right back at it. So I'm definitely excited to see if they can continue stacking. The problem is, because they did make the mistake at the beginning of the game and Team Liquid got that first Cloud Drake, Team Liquid bought themselves breathing room. And that breathing room is time for Aphelios and Orianna to try and stack up the carries of their team.
But I mean, man, I am having so much fun just watching Closer, and I'm so happy that the jungle meta has moved towards champions like Graves and Nidalee and champions that can carry from the jungle, because this guy came in.
I didn't hear that from a Skarner player, actually.
What? Come on, these are the Chad junglers, man. These are the junglers that are going to carry the game.
True.
That's so fun to see. And especially on a player like Closer who came in and so many people were excited to watch this guy because he's good at the game. He wants to play aggressively. He's not content to just try to sit there and scale. I really enjoy watching this guy jungle, especially on a champion like this, and really showing what you can do by aggressively making sure that you're getting those camps on spawn and also still having presence in the lane. The fact that he's 55 farm ahead of his opponent, but he's still got kill participation for everything they've done. I'm really digging it.
And that's the reason for the rise of these junglers that are power farmers, but are also very oppressive and aggressive. Because of the extra increased value, on experience over the last, few changes, they are both able to farm very quickly and still have that presence affecting the objectives, affecting the lanes themselves. The Nidalee, the Graves, these types of super popular champions right now. Problem with Nidalee is, like you're saying, if it's a bad Nidalee player, if it's not, a skilled jungler, then you feel so useless. So it's really heartening to see it successfully used here by Closer, by the Golden Guardians. And anytime, 16 minutes in, you get to ping the 2-level lead on the opposing jungler.
Oh, it feels so good. That's one of the biggest wins in League of Legends.
And, some of the all chat a little bit of a jungle dippy, and you try.
Oh yeah, the jungle dip.
Get your mental edge.
So far this game. But speaking of differences, I also want to point out, looking at mid lane, pretty big farm difference continuing to build here for Jensen's Orianna over the Jayce of Damonte. Did just now complete the Luden's Echo, so first big item done now for him. Going for that arm guard that I talked about earlier. Amazing in lane, but it will slow down completing that first item because of the fact that it doesn't build into any of your Lost Chapter type of items. On the other hand, though, we got Damonte. One of the nicest parts about building lethality is you can build Umbral Glaive, incredibly cheap item to fully complete, and gives you an absolutely insane presence in terms of vision score as well, with the ability to detect and sweep out those wards. So we'll see if Damonte is able to hit any of these big shock blasts. Has a second serrated Dirk in the inventory, so lethality is going to sting to anybody that doesn't have armor. So mostly the Mordekaiser or the Aphelios, if he's able to land those. But again, we're going to see. Damonte, it's time for Tanner time. I need to see him pop off, I think, for Golden Guardians to succeed here in this mid game. They're in a good spot to do so. They're 2,500 gold up. But
all right,
I need to see evidence to be a believer in AJ.
The time is also 15 seconds away from the spawn of the dragon, so I like the spawn of Riftout here by Team Liquid, trying to push in and gain some priority over mid-wave with this extra objective they took previously, and then they can try and translate that into being the first ones on the dragon, setting up here with the extra vision advantage. Control ward's already going down, so mid-tower successful here for Team Liquid, and they've got the inside path, cutting Golden Guardians off from the Ocean Drake, which they're looking to gain priority on.
Worth pointing out as well, there is currently one QSS on the side of the Golden Guardians. It belongs to Hauntzer. So Impact is free to ult any other target in the team fight, and he will be able to keep them in the death realm for the entire duration of that. Team Liquid now heading over to this Drake, and it looks like Golden Guardian was going to call this one no contest and just let Team Liquid walk away with it.
That's one of the reasons why, even though the gold was very close early on in the game, I kept emphasizing what the goals of Golden Guardians were with the competition. Team Liquid now are really utilizing their team fight power. You know, Braum and Trundle, amazing front line there, able to cut off a lot of the options. And they use that to then get this dragon for themselves, sending now Impact out to the side lane once again. Teleports are ready. And Senti Duff has his ultimate, even though there's a QSS on Hauntzer. The Mordekaiser now at this stage with Leandri's built starts to become a massive threat for the split push.
Yeah, once the Mordekaiser has that first item up and running, the damage that it stacks in combination with the passive storm is just so difficult to deal with, even if you've got plenty of magic resistance. So we'll see how they decide to answer that as we continue moving forward here. It's CoreJJ defending against the 3-man push of the Golden Guardians here in the mid lane. Golden Guardians do have those outer turrets down in both side lanes, so getting this mid lane tier 1 down will give them some extra capability to push forward into Team Liquid territory, get some more wards down in that jungle, but TL are going to prevent that from happening for the time being, still doing a great job, even though the gold lead continues just climbing up little by little, almost up to 3K now for the Golden Guardians. Team Liquid seem fine with the pace of the game, however, flash away from Tactical keeps him safe from the Ornn horn. 4 members of Golden Guardians pushing this mid lane, trying to get that turret. They got it down to 15%, but that's all they're going to get for now. Damonte continues to mount the pressure in top.
Honestly, considering the variables here, I think that was a very good little push. Even though they don't get the tower, a successful Ornn horn like that, getting the flash on Aphelios, is incredibly valuable. Considering CoreJJ was very close, he was almost close enough to save Tactical that flash and use the Unbreakable instead, just to nullify the Ornn ultimate. But Hauntzer took the small moment where he had the window of CoreJJ being far enough away from Tactical and Tactical being close enough up under the turret that he could get the flash down on one of those main carries and be less mobile at that. So Golden Guardians do make a nice little punch there in the mid lane, and they can actually just return to the tower to finish the job.
Yep, they've got the priority over it. They're able to get there just a second before Team Liquid is, and they can clear that one out of the way. Brings them up to 3 turrets taken compared to only the 1 that TL has managed to claim there in that mid lane. Not a lot of work being done in those side lanes so far for the side of Team Liquid. Blue buff also going to be stolen away there by Golden Guardians, keeping that away from Jensen, shutting down some of the wave clear, some of the ability spamming potential of that Orianna. Always just all these little advantages can add up after enough time, and Golden Guardians are doing a good job here so far.
And now that we're cresting the mid game, I want to point out the step 2 of the Golden Guardians plan.
All right, where do we go from here?
Like we talked about in Champ Select, some of the changes to Jayce, they took away some of his lane bullying power of the early levels of Shockwave and Shock Blast, and put it into the max levels. Jayce is a champion. Obviously, you don't put points into your ultimate, so he actually doesn't max out his Shock Blast until level 11. Now Damonte has passed that point. He's level 12 here with the full lethality build, and you have reached the holy grail level with your Jayce. The Shock Blast coming through with this much lethality and max level are a perfect combination with your Nidalee, who power farm 2-level advantage over the Trundle, and you get to utilize the poke aspect of this composition. And one thing that Team Liquid and Jat has failed to draft for his team versus poke is
he's not even here to defend himself, man. You're going to point out that the Jat failed to draft. Ah, yeah, you know, that coach in Team Liquid.
Love you, buddy. But that's one of the few things that they don't have to try and counter the Nidalee Jayce grouping up with a Thresh there to have some protection for them and throwing out the poke over and over. They do have, you know, Trundle, very good frontline, can try and soak them up. He has a lot of sources of healing. Braum can block some with the Unbreakable. But as far as the initiation from the side of Team Liquid to turn the tables, Team Liquid's comp is much more defensive. It's much more about counter-engage. Unless they get a really nice placement of the Orianna ball from Jensen, finding a Shockwave, or CoreJJ flashing in to get a Braum ultimate, or something like that, it is actually more on the side of Golden Guardians to have the control over the setup.
And you're talking about hitting the magic level and being right where you want to be. Hauntzer now level 14 on the Ornn. He's got both his Sunfire Cape and his Abyssal Mask upgraded. Very scary at this point in time. Remember, those 2 upgrades give the champion about 3,400 gold worth of free stats absolutely insanely tanky for the item point that he is at. Doesn't even have his completed boots yet. He doesn't need them. All he needs is the mask and the cape, and he's locked and loaded, and he's ready to go. You can see the upgraded Blade of the Ruined King in FBI's inventory. As the fight starts off, Impact is exhausted. He's put Damonte in the death realm. He's continuing to march forward. Closer's almost able to find the damage onto Tactical, now going into the stasis, keeping himself alive. Shockwave only finding Hauntzer, and that's not going to be good enough. Impact will be left to die, or will he? Flashing away to try to escape, and Damonte's the man who's got the kill. He immediately takes Blast Cone over the wall to get himself to safety. CoreJJ is looking to counter-engage, but the rest of Team Liquid is not close enough. They're not on the same page. They're not where they need to be, and Golden Guardians take the fight.
This is the new Golden Guardians, Captain Flowers. Damonte adding, it feels like this overall just killer instinct to the team.
Closer, it's Tanner time!
Closer always had it, but now it feels like Closer's got someone with a similar mentality of how to play these fights. So you saw there were two instances there. It was actually Tanner who goes in onto Impact. He gets a big chunk, and when Impact uses the Mordekaiser ult onto Damonte, he immediately procs the phase rush, and he's like, I'm out of here, buddy. He skips off to the other side. Then Closer is able to get through. Since Mordekaiser's in the Death Realm, Closer actually throws the Nidalee Spear right through him since he's in a different realm, and it hits Tactical. He chunks Tactical down, forces the backline of Team Liquid off, and it was just a really nice kind of 1-2 punch from the Golden Guardians, being able to play off that. This is just more coordination than we saw from the team in Spring. It is more proactive play than we saw from them in Spring, and it's definitely heartening for GGS fans.
It's a lot of fun to see. I mean, watching this team work together, watching them be able to go up against a squad like Team Liquid that, with the exception of Tactical, are all incredibly veteran players in League of Legends. Broxah, literally a world finalist. Impact and CoreJJ, literally world champions. There's a lot of skill, there's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of experience on this roster, and so Golden Guardians being able to go up against these guys and hold their own like this and outperform them in these team fight situations isn't just saying, yeah, well, let's see how they do against a real team. They're stepping up, and it's a lot of fun to see. Now, let's see if they can actually continue that as we get closer and closer to the end game. We are at just about 27 minutes here and now. We have 2 Drakes taken by either side, so still not going to be a soul for quite a while. But we are getting to the point of the game where Baron takes are going to become more and more quick. We'll see if that becomes a reality for either of these squads, if they're able to win a decisive enough victory to make that happen. But you can see right now everybody's just kind of on farming duty. Not a whole lot to fight over. There's some vision up there in that topside river near the Baron pit. But nobody really feels like forcing anything because it's like you said, Team Liquid really only wants to counter-engage, and Golden Guardians aren't looking to yeet their lead away randomly.
And we did see the attempt of the flash CoreJJ ultimate with Braum, like we kind of talked about. That was maybe one of their surprise moves that they could pull. But that flash, still on cooldown for over 2 minutes for CoreJJ because trying to use it in the last fight. So they also don't have that. I would say we should now look at it from Team Liquid's perspective, because coming into this, you're like, okay, Team Liquid probably advantage. We should look at it from Golden Guardian's perspective. But now Team Liquid are on the back foot, and they should probably be trying to use Impact with his teleport available, almost level 16 on Mordekaiser. You can try and push him to that level 16, get your rank 3 ultimate, and then your split push, it either forces another pressure point on the opposing team, or the opposing team tries to send Nidalee and multiple people to try and cut off the Mordekaiser, in which case you get to use your ultimate for a 1v1. You try and go 1-for-1 and trade a lot of time to allow your Orianna, Aphelios, Braum, and Trundle, which is a very good 4-pack at actually threatening Baron, at threatening other areas of the jungle objectives. And you can pull kind of extra pressure out of your pocket that way, even though they're down in gold overall. They still have some very good tools to use.
Void Staff on that Orianna, now also one of those tools. This is a powerhouse team fighting champion. All Jensen needs is one big shockwave in one of these fights that hits some valuable targets when you look at the Golden Guardians roster, there's a lot of squishiness here. Nidalee in the jungle is not a champion that can go in and soak a bunch of hits. The one way that she can survive that we saw in the last team fight, she uses the stopwatch or the hourglass, goes into the stasis, buys a couple of seconds. But in that last team fight, Jensen's Shockwave critically only hit Hauntzer. If that's able to find the targets that it needs to, that could be a team fight win condition just all on its own. But again, that's up to Jensen to find that positioning. Make sure the ball's in the right place at the right time to land those hits. CoreJJ going to eat a little bit of damage here, but Golden Guardians won't really find the opportunity to put too many dents in the health bars, as the Drake will be spawning here in 20 seconds. Whoever gets this one will put themselves on soul point and make it so any subsequent dragon is an absolute nightmare for their opponents to yield, considering this is Ocean Soul, commonly referred to, commonly thought of as the strongest soul by pretty much everybody. So, and especially when you have something like Ornn, it's pretty crazy.
All right, looks like Team Liquid going to give up on the Dragon number 3. This one's not the pivotal one, obviously, but it does put the extra pressure, you know, on Soul Point later that we're talking about leading up to. Some things to account for Team Liquid. Keep your eyes on the guns that Tactical actually has available. Crescendum and Severum were ready this time around, and those are the two that are best at the single target because of the extra damage you get from Crescendum, and then obviously the healing you can get out of Severum. Turn the Aphelios into a much more offensive carry, rather than having to play so much more safely on the back line. And that's one of the things that Team Liquid can try to use in the split pushing that I was talking about, the 4-1 pack that Team Liquid have available. If you've got a Crescendum, your 4-1 is even more threatening because the Crescendum Aphelios melts through neutral objectives. And if you send multiple people at impact, then the Aphelios takes something very quickly elsewhere.
Worth pointing out that both AD carries also have a Death's Dance now completed, so there is a decent chance that if they're not focus fired properly by everyone in these upcoming team fights,
is it time for our Death's Dance rant?
We can see a little bit of silliness. Okay, you know what? The game actually has been super slow for like the past 5 minutes. Go for your rant. Just go crazy, man. Tell people about Death's Dance.
I've just been a Death's Dance salesman for the last couple of weeks here because there's so much packed into this item. When they redid the build path for it, they also juiced it up with more value. So I think that any champion, top laner, junglers, mid laners, bottom laners, maybe even support should be building this item because it gives you the armor and MR now on top of whatever your first item is. It turns most champions into what your dream is when you're thinking about lifesteal tanking things. And this is something that was previously only really available in things like Dota, where champions can actually 1v9. You can have agility champions that get lifesteal, and you can become unkillable. That wasn't really seen in our game before, but now with the Death's Dance, because of the damage delay, plus the amount of lifesteal and spell damage that it gives you, there are many champions like Aphelios that are very well equipped to have full damage builds, plus just adding in a Death's Dance to become that level of threat, and you get those YouTube highlight things that you're talking about, and like we just saw in the LEC, where you know, with Crescendum available, is able to pull out 1v3s, 1v4s sometimes if you're able to, you know, utilize summoner spells and dodge some skill shots yourself. But I would say, you know, I've been spamming it on all the any early game junglers like Olaf and Rek'Sai. If you're able to get ahead, it's just
it also
just
works
so
wonderfully on Chad Skarner. I know that obviously that's a very popular meta pick that everyone's really concerned about. But it's a super great item on that as well. But let's see, back in the game though. Let's pay some attention to what these guys are doing on the Rift here. Now that we've been talking about Death's Dance for a couple of minutes, because honestly, not much has changed. We're really just kind of waiting on this next Drake to spawn. It is Ocean Soul. If Golden Guardians are able to claim it, they're still up 4,000 gold. This is going to be pressure on Team Liquid to make the right decisions in this situation. Impact going after Damonte here yet again, looking to find the kill. Nicely done. And now he's going to use the stasis to buy himself some time. Huhi trying to do something here, but he's going to be pulled to safety by FBI. Golden Guardians have to retreat. They've lost their mid laner. Impact just picks that one up for free. He has to use his flash to secure it, but that's easily a trade that you choose to make, considering now TL are the ones forcing Golden Guardians to make the hard decision, forcing Golden Guardians to respond. It's CoreJJ on the front line looking to block the rest of the team from helping them out. Impact coming around from the side, and Hauntzer is just going to be beat down. That's 2 dead on the side of the Golden Guardians. Both solo lanes are out of the picture, and TL as 5 are going after the Baron. And critically, they still have 55 seconds to attempt this before that next Drake spawn. They're not giving away Ocean Soul potential. They're not giving away anything here, but they do have to respect Closer. The steal potential is there, and we're playing another game of Ring Around the Rosie as CoreJJ and Impact try to chase Closer away and make sure he cannot enter in time to get any kind of a steal. Broxah now the lone jungler in the pit. It's an easy Baron, and TL are feeling great about this sequence of events. Closer flashes over the wall, trying to escape. Jensen tries to stop his exit route there with the ball, but Closer wisely leaving through the bottom part of the jungle so he doesn't get cut off by that. And now you can see Golden Guardians heading towards that Drake pit. 10 seconds left. This is their Ocean Soul.
And just to recount, what was not on screen there was Golden Guardians after the 2 picks. They realized that they cannot actually fight the Baron, just have Closer try and steal it. Instead, they have tactical, or excuse me, FBI on the Kalista go push mid lanes. FBI got 2 towers there during the time that Closer was able to delay Team Liquid around the Baron. So in the trade, Team Liquid get Baron, and I think that's completely worth it for them. And really good play by Impact to open up an opportunity for Team Liquid to actually win this game. On the back half, I think the response was also good given the bad situation that Golden Guardians were put in. They got 2 towers and a dragon in exchange for that Baron. But I have to say, from Team Liquid's point of view, Impact is such a hero for going for that play. Him opening up a possible route for them to actually win is huge. They push down mid with the Baron. They get the tower gold there first. Then they can go pick up the extra standing gold on bottom. But it looks like they want to fight instead with the Baron buff on.
Baron buff ready to go. CoreJJ there on the front line. Huhi's able to find a hook, but only onto Broxah. Impact is just destroying any health bar that he goes near, and Huhi will be the first victim of Team Liquid in this fight. Golden Guardians now looking to continue this afterwards. Hauntzer there in the middle trying to tank up everybody. CoreJJ going to be forced back. Shockwave on to 3. I said it. I said you only need 1. And ladies and gentlemen, Jensen hits it onto the Golden Guardians.
CoreJJ flashes in for the slow into FBI, forces the stopwatch.
Oh, but FBI's got nowhere to go. There's your shutdown. Tactical takes the kill, and the Golden Guardians only have their mid laner left alive. Damonte does a good job going to mid lane, cutting the minion wave, stopping the reinforcements from coming, and allowing TL to push mid. However, they realize they've got minions now in the bottom lane instead. They're able to continue to push down here. It's still 20 seconds before Closer is alive, and Damonte and Huhi will have to stand 2v4 against Team Liquid as they try to take this first inhibitor.
Team Liquid press ahead off the back of Impact making another big play for the team. Flowers, have you seen a more alpha champion, a more alpha move from Impact, just walking up to the entire team? Again, he's just going to go ult, grab, I believe it's Huhi this time around.
Yeah, Huhi's going to be for Huhi.
Huhi's going to be the one selected. He just wants to get the stats off of the kill and take down the front line of Golden Guardians. He opens the pathway and forces the fight for Team Liquid. They don't have, surprise hard engage. They don't have, anything flashy. He's going to have to walk up and just do it by hand. And if he does that, it paves the way for Aphelios and Orianna, 2 very good late game carries to be able to run over the enemy team. And even though you rack up the kills, Orianna, really good shockwave there by Jensen, and Aphelios is able to run through tactical, almost level 18 himself now. I still would give most of my credit for this game, my vote for MVP for Team Liquid thus far, to Impact.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the shockwave was the moment where that fight 100% was going to go the way of Team Liquid, but the fight itself only happened because Impact said, the fight is happening now. And that's exactly what this team needs. It goes back to what you were talking about earlier, man. This is not a team that has drafted a ton of engage mechanisms. Sometimes your engage mechanism is walk at him and look scary. And damn, if Impact is not looking menacing as he's stomping towards Golden Guardians right now.
Yep, CoreJJ and Broxah obviously doing their part with the slows, but let's see how it works out at a tower, because the Golden Guardians, again, they do have decent poke damage. So far, Team Liquid have been able to withstand the barrage.
Tactical at half HP, but he will return to full pretty much instantly thanks to the power of the Death's Dance. Tons of healing, very easy to regenerate all of that. Baron having now worn away means that Golden Guardians might be in a better spot, but Closer caught out doesn't spell the same. Let's see if Closer's able to get himself away. No, he won't. Instead, it's only going to be huhi going down with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Liquid might just be able to seal the deal right here. CoreJJ, low HP, but they're collapsing onto FBI, and he is not long for this world. It is a 1 for 3 for Team Liquid. Damonte and Hauntzer will have to somehow hold this. CoreJJ below half, but everybody else is in great shape. Tactical and Jensen are both fully ready to go here. Hauntzer trying to escape, popping the QSS to drop the CC. TL continuing this push forward. Jensen and Tactical have the damage to end this game right here, right now. Let's see if they can get the minions up to the Nexus and get this thing done. Damonte can't get in. He's got no opportunity to make it happen. They're gonna collapse on him in the 3v1. Hauntzer's trying to hold the line, but what in the world is Ornn gonna do against the Death's Dance of Aphelios? Get ready for an interactive gameplay experience, Ornn.